Someone asks what is wrong. You open your mouth, and there is nothing in there. Not sad, not tired, not angry. Just a weight sitting under your ribs with no handle on it. So you say the only sentence that is available. I am fine. That weight has a name. So do 4 other states you have lived through and never once labeled, because nobody handed you the words. And the names are not decoration. In a scanner at a university in Los Angeles, the moment people put one plain word on what they were looking at, the part of the brain that runs the alarm went quieter. Same image, same person, one word, a measurably different brain. So the next few minutes give you 5 feelings you have had and could not name. What the missing name costs you in ordinary life, in numbers, and 1 word out of the 5 that a man invented at his desk. It works as well as the clinical ones, and that turns out to be the most useful fact here. Start with the machinery because it explains all 5. Some people carry a wide set of words for the inside. Others carry 2, good and bad. There is a term for that difference, mapped by Lisa Feldman Barrett and her colleagues around the year 2001. Emotional granularity. Low granularity does not mean you feel less. You feel exactly as much. But what you have is 1 bucket for 5 different states and 1 response for the whole bucket. If lonely, ashamed, overworked, and quietly furious all arrive as bad, you reach for the same fix every time. The same drink, the same scroll, the same silence. The state changes, but the treatment never does. Which is where the first name comes in. Start with the state that has no words at all. The feeling arrives complete. Tight chest, short breath, pressure behind the eyes. But the words never show up. A psychiatrist named Peter Sifnios gave it a name in 1973. Alexithymia. Literally, no words for feeling. The definition has 3 parts. Trouble identifying what you feel, trouble describing it to anybody else, and trouble telling a feeling apart from a plain body sensation. Was that dread or 3 coffees on an empty stomach? Here is the part people get wrong. This is not coldness. The body of a person with alexithymia is not quiet. It is loud. But the translation is missing. And it is not rare. In a Finnish population study by Salminen and colleagues, roughly 1 in 10 adults scored in that range. In a room of 30 people, 3 of them cannot tell you what they feel and have learned to say, I am fine, because it is the only sentence that fits. Second one, you are grieving somebody who has not died, a parent who is alive and does not recognize you, a friend who never fought with you and never moved away, who slowly stopped answering, a person who lives in your house and is somehow not in it anymore. Nothing happened, so you do not get to call it grief. Nobody sends flowers for this one. Pauline Boss, a family therapist, named it in the 1970s. Ambiguous loss. Loss with no proof and no ending. She describes it in 2 shapes. Somebody physically gone, but psychologically present, the way a missing person stays in a house, and somebody physically present but psychologically gone. Boss also named what it does. Ordinary grief moves. Ambiguous loss freezes. With no funeral and no fact, the mind cannot start the process and cannot stop waiting either. She called that frozen grief. The tell is unmistakable once you hear it. You feel guilty for mourning somebody who is right there. Third, you are not depressed. You would say so yourself. You get up, you work, you answer messages. Nothing is wrong. And nothing is alive either. The days blur. The book stays open on the same page for a month. You are not sinking, but you are not moving either. A sociologist named Corey Keyes measured this in 2002 and called it languishing, the absence of well-being rather than the presence of illness. His point was that mental health is not one line with sick at one end and fine at the other. You can be free of every symptom and still be empty. Most of the world got the word in 2021 when Adam Grant wrote about it and called languishing the neglected middle child of mental health. Why the name matters here. If your only two options are depressed and fine, and you are clearly not depressed, you land on the third explanation. You decide you are lazy or ungrateful or spoiled. Languishing is the box that was missing, and it is a crowded one. Fourth, and this one is heavier. It is not guilt and it is not shame, yet people carry it for years with no word for it at all. Something happened that broke your own rules. You did it, or you watched it, or you stayed quiet while it went ahead. None of it was illegal, and nobody punished you. But it still sits there at 2 in the morning, years later. The clinical term is moral injury, defined by Brett Litz and colleagues in 2009. The lasting damage from doing or failing to prevent something that violates what you believe is right. It came out of research with soldiers, but the shape of it is ordinary. The nurse who ran triage the way she was told and not the way she believed. The person who said nothing at the table while somebody got taken apart. Guilt says, I did a bad thing. Shame says, I am a bad person. Moral injury says something else. I am not who I thought I was. That third sentence has almost no vocabulary around it, which is exactly why it stays. Fifth, and here the ground shifts under this whole video. You get a specific pull looking at photographs taken before you were born. A kitchen in 1970-something, people you never met, a light in the window. And you miss it. You cannot miss it. You were never there. There is a word for that, Anemoia, nostalgia for a time you never lived through. Except no psychiatrist named it, and no journal ever published it. A man named John Koenig invented it. He has been building a dictionary of made-up words for feelings since the middle of the 2000s, and printed it as a book in 2021. Anemoia, Sonder, and the rest are constructed out of Greek and Latin parts, with a straight face. So ask the fair question. If a writer at a desk made the word up last decade, why does something settle in your chest when you hear the definition? Because credentials are not what naming works on. The laboratory work here is specific. At the University of California, Los Angeles, a team led by Matthew Lieberman ran an experiment in 2007. People in a scanner looked at faces carrying strong emotion. Sometimes they picked a plain word for the face. Angry. Afraid. Sometimes they did something else with the image instead. When the word went on, activity in the amygdala, the region that pushes the alarm, dropped. And a region behind the forehead that handles regulation came up. Putting the feeling into words did the thing that telling yourself to calm down almost never does. Then a second team took it out of the scanner. Katerina Krakansky, with Lieberman and Michelle Krask, worked with people afraid of spiders. 4 groups approached a live tarantula. One group said the fear out loud in blunt words. I am scared of the disgusting spider. The others reframed it, or distracted themselves, or simply did the exposure. A week later, different spider, different room. The group that had used words sweated less than the rest and got closer than the group that had distracted itself. Not positive thinking, not calming down, naming. That is why an invented word still works. Your brain does not check where the word came from. It checks whether the word fits. And when nothing fits, there is a bill. Todd Kashdan and colleagues followed young social drinkers for 3 weeks, with people reporting their states as the days went. Those who described feelings in precise terms drank around 40% less than those who reported in one lump on the days they felt worst. The bad feeling was just as strong in both groups, but the response to it was not. The same effect turns up in anger. Across 3 diary studies with more than 600 people, Pond, Kashdan, and their colleagues found that people who separate their negative states are far less likely to hit back after being provoked. 20 to 50% less, depending on the study. Notice what that is. Not people who feel less anger. People who can tell which one it is. So the tool is small, and it is not a mood. When something lands, go 3 clicks finer than bad. Not bad. Left out, in a room full of people. Not stressed, dreading one conversation on Thursday. Not fine, grieving somebody who is still alive. 2 questions get you there. Where is it in the body, and what is it asking for? Hollow and heavy in the chest, asking to be missed by somebody, is a different instruction from tight and hot in the throat, asking for the sentence you did not say. And when no word exists, build one. Koenig did. A privately named feeling behaves like a named feeling. That is the entire finding. Which brings it back to the weight under your ribs from the first 10 seconds of this video. The problem was never that you could not explain it to the person who asked. The problem is that a state with no name will not sit still. It runs the day from underneath because you treat it with whatever is nearest. Give it 3 clicks of precision and it turns into an object. An object can be put down. Next time somebody asks, "What is wrong?" you will have one more answer available than, "I am fine." In the comments, name the one you have been carrying without a word for it. Just the feeling, in your own words, as exact as you can make it. If a name for it exists, somebody down there knows it.